Malach came and told Avraham that Sarah is going to have a child. Sarah heard what the Malach was saying, and she laughed. Yeah? You know the story, but I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. She laughed. Why?
Because she thought it was impossible.
And she was a tzaddik? And she was a greater Navi than Avraham? And she laughed because she thought it was impossible? That doesn't make sense. That is not giving her the credit she deserves. The rest of the story is that when the Malach said that she was going to have a child, she heard the bracha. And she laughed because there was something wrong with it. From the bracha, it sounded like Yitzchak was going to be temporary. She's going to have a son, but not for very long. So she laughed and she said, you call that a bracha? Come on, give me a real bracha. So the Malach said, Hayipoli me Hashem davar. Well, you think the Eibishter can't make it permanent? And sure we can. So she said, fine, then that's a bracha I can accept. So by laughing, she actually lobbied that her son should live long, because the bracha sounded like it was temporary. So the Malach said, Sarah is laughing. There's nothing impossible for Hashem. It can last. He can live a long life. And in fact, when the time comes, Oshuv Elecha, the Malach said to Avraham, I will come back to you, and Sarah will have her son. When was that? At the Akedah. The Malach came and said, don't do it. So Avraham said, who are you? It's not your business. The Eibishter told me to do something. Who are you to tell me what to do? So the Malach said, you don't recognize me? I'm the one who gave you the bracha. And I promised Sarah that Yitzchak will live long, so I can't let you do this. So when Sarah heard that the Malach fulfilled his promise and Yitzchak will live long, now she could die in peace. Not she died from the news, from shock. On the contrary, she wasn't going to die until she was sure that Yitzchak was going to live long. So it's not like she died young. She was 127. That's pushing it. But she wouldn't die before then because she had to make sure that Yitzchak was going to live. So by laughing, she actually saved his life. Now that's what a mother is supposed to do. In the Haftorah that we're going to read, which is supposed to be similar to the Parsha, right? There's the story of the Shunamis. The Navi gave her a bracha that she's going to have a child. She said, oh, come on, stop joking. But she had a child. And he died. So she came to the Navi and she said, hey, didn't I say don't do this to me? And didn't you promise me that you won't let it happen? So he had to resurrect the child because he had promised. So he did. Brought him back to life. So we see from this that she didn't say, I don't believe you. She said, I don't want something temporary. So that explains what Sarah was laughing. They were both complaining that it sounds temporary, not that they don't believe it. So the question is, how come Avraham didn't complain? Why didn't Avraham say, oh, come on, not a temporary bracha?
He didn't look at it in that way?
Huh?
He didn't look at it in that way?
That's right. He didn't pick up on what was wrong with the bracha that made it temporary. Why? Because Avraham was a seer. He had vision, which is what a Navi is, right? He sees. He raised his eyes and he saw. How many times does it say that in this parsha? Yeah. He raised his eyes and he saw 3 people coming. At the Akedah, he raised his eyes and he saw the place. And then he raised his eyes and he saw the ram. Sarah was different, because what happened with Sarah? She didn't see the bracha. She heard. V'Sarah shayma'as. Sarah heard. And when you hear, you can pick up on things that weren't really said, like between the lines. So what did she pick up on? When you give a bracha, in order for the bracha to be permanent, it has to be face to face, one-on-one. That's why, even though you're not allowed to see the kohen, you have to face each other by the bracha, because it has to be face to face. Now, the Malach said to Avraham, Sarah is going to have a child. And Sarah said, excuse me, if you're giving me a bracha, you should be talking to me. So either tell Avraham that he's going to have a son, or tell me that I'm going to have a son. But don't tell Avraham that I'm going to have a son. Something fishy about that. It sounds temporary. Avraham didn't pick that up. He didn't catch it. In the Haftorah, the Shunamit says, oh, come on, not temporary. How did she know it was going to be temporary? Because instead of saying, you will have a child, the Navi said, you will cuddle a child. So she said, wait, how long do you cuddle a child? You know, when he turns to be 40 or 45, you got to stop. So cuddle? You mean he's only going to be a child, he'll never grow up? Come on, this doesn't sound right. By Sarah, it says, Sarah will have a child. That's talking. Of course, it wasn't said to Sarah, so there's something wrong with that. So they both picked up on something that was, you couldn't see it, you had to hear it. So here's the punchline. The Eibishter says to Avraham, Kol asher teimal lecha Sarah, Shma. Right? Everything Sarah tells you, listen. You're not good at listening, you're good at seeing. But when Sarah tells you something, listen. Because she hears. And sometimes that's better, greater than seeing. So that's really the story behind the story. So, according to this, why was Yitzchak not shechted? That's a good mother. She saved his life before he was born.